Hi everyone, welcome to this masterclass on Ditch the Doubt and Unleash Your Side Hustle Potential. Stop worrying about what Sharon from school is going to think of your side hustle. Does that resonate with you? Do you hold yourself back? Do you feel that you're smaller than you were meant to be on this earth because you're worried about what other people might think? Let me help you. We're going to ditch the doubt today. If you don't know me, my name is Julie Begbie. I am the Happy Side Hustle Coach. I help unfulfilled career women to bring more joy into their lives by finding something that they absolutely love doing and monetizing it to create a pot for life luxuries like dream holidays. My dream holidays are always involve Disney World or Disneyland, but you're free to choose what you do with your luxury money. Happy side hustling is about the tactics, but it's not just about the tactics. So there are a number of ways that I help people to have a happy side hustle. But what I notice is if I don't do the mindset work alongside the tactical work, then people tend to stall at some point in their side hustle. My background is I am a business psychologist. I've always been fascinated by the human brain and by unleashing your potential and living a confident life. So I feel really passionate to help you to do this because you were put on this earth to be the absolute essence of the person that is within you. And when we hold ourselves small, when we're not kind of living up to that full version of ourselves, life can feel unsatisfying. This masterclass is for you. If you know you should be putting yourself out there more, but something is stopping you and you can't quite put your finger on it. If you're worried about failing, like if you don't set up a side hustle at all, then you can't fail, right? But you're missing out on so much fun and so much learning opportunities. You worry that you won't sell anything. So you haven't started your side hustle because what if it's embarrassing? What if no one wants to buy your thing, your product, or your service? Or counterintuitively, you worry that you'll sell too much and you can't keep up. Both those things come up regularly when I'm helping people. That makes me smile. If you're terrified of complaints, again, if you don't have a side hustle, then it's unlikely you're going to get complaints. But you're much more likely to get compliments and incredibly motivating feedback than you are to get complaints as long as you set up your side hustle right. You're worried that your product or service is not good enough. This is a biggie and it stops lots of people starting a happy side hustle because they look at what they perceive to be their competitors out there and they feel that they're not as good as somebody else. I want you to know that this is not about being exactly the same or competing in the same playing field as the people that you deem to be your competitors. This is about bringing your version of your side hustle to the world, and you can't get that wrong. You can't get that wrong. Fundamentally, it can come down to the fact that you're worried that you are not good enough. So it's not necessarily about your side hustle, about your talents, about your strengths, about complaints, about everything else that we just talked about. But it can be just that feeling of, well, who am I? Who am I to go out and ask people to pay me money? In this masterclass, I'm going to share with you the technique I've been using for years to build my side hustle confidence. I know people describe me as confident, and it's not, if you think back to when you were born, you don't have confident babies in a hospital. You don't have a newborn baby and the midwife going, oh, that's a confident one. Confidence is just something that you learn along the way. It takes practice and it takes understanding the techniques of confidence, and I'm going to share them with you today. Can you be super successful in your side hustle? Do you honestly believe that you can live that life of luxury, that you can meet that side hustle vision board that you have created? Do you honestly, really, truly, deep down believe that that is something that's possible for you? Because if you don't, it's going to result in a whole lot of self-sabotage that you probably won't even be aware that you're doing on your side hustle journey. So let's make sure that we've got that belief as a foundation for you. One thing that's really important to do is to define your success. Like, what does it actually look like? If I were to ask you, are you successful? How does that make you feel? Do you know how your side hustle would have to be for you to be successful? Are you measuring things? What is success for you? Is success a sale? Is success a wonderful review? Is success making £1,000 extra in the run up to your holiday? Is success becoming known as the person that helps people with a particular thing? It's different for everybody. And it's so important that you need to work out what success looks like for you. Because how do you celebrate? How do you celebrate along the journey if you can't see your progress? If you can't, so sometimes you're like a year into your side hustle journey and you look back and you think, wow, okay, if a year ago you had told me I would be at this point, I would have been delighted. But at this point, you're maybe looking at other people who are a little bit ahead in their side hustle journey to you, and that can feel frustrating. So you're always measuring yourself against your past self, and we're always aiming to move forward and to get your side hustle slicker and better. To know when you've achieved your goal, you need to really set yourself a SMART objective. You've probably come across this in different areas of your life. A SMART objective stands for something that is specific. So something that you can go, okay, this is exactly what I am aiming for. So for example, I am aiming to generate X amount of pounds for a dream holiday in October 2023. You decide. Something that is measurable. So something where you can go, okay, if I say that I need to have X number of pounds by October 2023, I can go, did I do that? Yes or no? It has to be something that's attainable, but at a bit of a stretch. So don't make it too easy for yourself. Like it would be fine to go, gosh, I'd absolutely love to make £100 in the next 2 years. Like that's very achievable for anybody, but it's probably not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to the level that you would like it to be. Make sure it's relevant. So make sure that your goal is relevant to your joy. It's relevant to your life, that you're not like going, oh, Julie says that I should be saving up for a dream holiday to Disney World. If that doesn't float your boat, like, don't go for that. Go for something that really lights you up, that really would make a massive difference in your life, that really would bring you deep joy. And make sure that it's timely or time bound. So the example that I gave a minute ago about, wanting to have saved enough money by October 2023, that's nice and time bound. If you were to say, I would love to generate an extra £5,000 in my business, that's great. But when? Like, are you going to do that this year? Are you going to do that like before the end of this year? Are you going to do it over the next 5 years? When are you going to do it? Because you can't celebrate your success unless you know what your deadlines are, what your goals are. And they're the things that push you, they stretch you, they make you go, oh goodness, I said I was going to do this by the end of the year and I've only got X number of months left. I better make sure that I'm moving my side hustle forward. So make sure that you've set yourself a SMART goal. And I want to introduce to you my what the fluff mindset technique. So I want you to remember the letters WTF. So what the fluff. This is what I have done for the last 20 years plus. And the words, the letters WTF stand for watch your words, take action, and flip your stories. The combination of these three things is a massively powerful way to move your side hustle forward. I'm going to explain what each of them are. So let's start with W. W is about watching your words. Your words are incredibly powerful. I want you to take a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down every single thing that worries you about your side hustle. So everything that comes to mind, what could go wrong? I want you to dump all of that onto a piece of paper. For those of you watching live, I'm going to give you a minute to do that. When you're watching a replay, you can simply pause this And I'd ideally like you to fill the whole side of a piece of paper. So every single thing that's in your head, you don't need to share this with anybody. So don't worry about, being embarrassed, or just genuinely, what are the things that worry you? What's the worst that can happen? What is holding you back? What is stopping you? You can keep writing on your list as I keep talking, or as I say on replay, you can pause this video now until you feel that you've got everything out of your head. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess what you've written down. So you might find that some of these things are on your list. You might find that they're not. But when I ask this question, there are certain themes that regularly come up. So the first one is complaints. Like, what if I start a side hustle and I get a complaint? Like, oh, what would I do now? Because that feels massively uncomfortable. Because a complaint for my side hustle would be really a personal attack on me, wouldn't it? Like, that could be how you could see it. So somebody making a complaint about something, that would make me feel very vulnerable. And I'd rather just not start a side hustle to avoid that. The odds are that you might get a complaint at some point as your side hustle grows. But really, with any complaints, you'll know yourself if you've ever complained about something. It's just an opportunity to learn and grow. So if someone comes to complain about something, you try and help them, you try and resolve it for them. I know what I always do when I have a complaint around my jewelry business. If someone comes back and says, I didn't really like the way that you did this, or, the chain has broken, immediately, or whatever, I just immediately refund or replace them. And I just say, gosh, I am so sorry. And people are expecting generally a bit of an argument. People are expecting a bit of a kind of a pushback. So when you deal with a complaint really, really well, it can absolutely help the loyalty towards your side hustle. And the amount of, like, I could argue, sometimes people will say something's not arrived, and I see people on forums saying, yeah, but what if that person's lying? And what if they're trying to steal from me or whatever? I just choose to assume that everybody has a good intention, and no one would kind of come to me and say that it hadn't arrived because they're trying to steal from me. There's no point in me making up those stories in my head, because that would bring down the energy in my side hustle. I just trust people. And if they say it hasn't arrived, I just send them another one. So think about, when you're worried about complaints, just think about, well, how would I deal with that? Because if you would just deal with it well and the person would go away happy, it's not something to worry about. But to be honest, it's really unlikely you're going to have that many complaints. You're going to have a lot more positive feedback than you do negative, I promise you. Another thing that comes up is my work is not good enough. So not good enough compared to what? When I started when I started Theta Jewelry, I was learning how to hand stamp. And I just went for my done is better than perfect strategy. And I started it, and the letters were not lined up properly. The symmetry in the letters was not great at all. And I just said, it's quirky because this is not like you would get from an engraving machine. This is something that's come from me and my hands and me learning my trade. And people loved that. And people will ask me for the fonts still that I used to use like over 9 years ago, which were really basic and really cheap. But they'll say, oh, I still wear my necklace that has 3 names on it, and I've had another baby. Would you be able to create something that looks like your old work? Which in my opinion now doesn't look anything as anywhere near as nice as what I create currently, but people still love it. So your work will be good enough for your perfect people. Don't let that hold you back. And the only way you get better is with practice. If I hadn't started with less than perfect 9 years ago, I wouldn't be at the stage I am now, where my work is a lot more symmetrical, I guess is how I would put it. What if my friends laugh? This comes up all the time. What if my friends laugh? Okay, well, they might. And what I would put back to you is, if you've got friends that are going to laugh at you for turning a talent into a side hustle, are they really friends? And also, why are they laughing? Are they laughing because of jealousy? Are they laughing because of envy? Are they laughing because they don't have the kind of the confidence or the action taking nature to do something like that themselves. Like, why would anyone laugh at you? And I guess I would throw it back to you, because this comes up all the time, but I would throw it back to you and go, would you laugh if one of your friends set up a side hustle? Like, would you think that was funny? Would you be rolling your eyes? Would you be like wanting them to fail? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Like, so why would you think anybody else would feel like that about you? Sometimes, I've got to be honest, sometimes people don't really get it. So sometimes people will go, oh, right, okay, well, I'm not sure that, so when I had my first proper side hustle, Keepstakes, which was engraved garden plaques, I explained it to a few friends and they were like, oh, okay. Like, as in they weren't my ideal customers, but that's totally fine. Like, not everybody is your ideal customer. So not everybody is going to love whatever it is you're offering, be it a product or a service, but you just need to go out there and choose the people that will love it. So don't be put off by friends or family or anybody who doesn't think your side hustle is a great idea, because that's just coming from their map of the world, from their limited experience. The next one is, what if I don't sell anything? And I would just say to you, okay, well, what is the worst that can happen there? So what if you don't? So what if you put something up and it doesn't sell ever? Well, what if you lost? You tried. Like, people don't tend to regret the things they did. They tend to regret the things they didn't do. And actually, in terms of not selling anything, that's so unlikely. And really, the only way that you can not sell anything is to put one thing out there, it doesn't sell immediately, and then panic and withdraw it and go, well, that's it. I can't do any side hustling. It takes persistence, it takes resilience, and it takes a bit of confidence and using the what the fluff technique to make sure that you're kind of pushing through that discomfort until you sell something. And then until you sell the right amount of things to actually get to your side hustle vision. What if I get too many sales? So this just makes me laugh, because it comes up all the time from the same people who say, what if I don't sell anything, and what if I sell too much? I want to reassure you that you're in control of how much you sell. So say you've got a service, you say, I can work with 5 clients next month, and you decide the number. And then when you get to 5, you go, that's it. You can apply to work with me again next month. If you're selling a product on something like Etsy, you say, I have 3 of these. And when the 3 sell out, you decide whether you want to renew that listing or not. If you get completely overwhelmed, so say in the run up to Christmas and your whole Etsy shop just really takes off, you can put it on vacation mode. So there's a whole load of ways that you can totally control how much you sell. So you don't need to worry about getting too many sales. You don't need to be a people pleaser. You decide how many things you want to sell, and then you just put that out in the world. And once you've sold those things, you check in with yourself and go, do I want to sell more? Or am I quite happy with the exact amount that I plan to sell? It's easy. It's easy, and you're totally in control of that. And am I good enough? Really, a lot of the things that people write down on their worries come back to, am I good enough? You are good enough. You were born with a gift or a talent that you are here to bring to the world. And you know that, because when you do it, it brings you joy. It lights you up. It's infectious. When you have that joy and you light up yourself and your family and the people around you and the people that benefit from your product or your service, you know that you've tapped into that gift, that thing that you were meant to bring. If you don't already know what that is, make sure you check out my resources for finding your happy side hustle. I genuinely think it's everybody's duty to find that, because it's going to lead to a much more joyful life for you, and that's infectious to all the people around you. The power of yet. Actually, let me just go back to this slide, because I want to show you this word. Be careful of the words that you use. When you say you're going to try to do something, you're not committing. So if you're going to try to set up a side hustle, if you're going to try and do some social media posting this week, if you're going to try and tell people about your side hustle, the odds are you're not actually going to do that. The word try gives you a bit of an out. I want you to take it out of your vocabulary. I want you to say, I am going to tell people about my side hustle. I am going to find my side hustle idea. I am going to post on social media about my side hustle this week. So I want you to eliminate the word try from your vocabulary. And I want you to add in the word yet to your vocabulary. When you say things like, I am not able to do this particular thing, I want you to add the word yet onto the end of it. Can you just hear the different energy in that sentence? I'm not able to do this particular thing yet. It's coming. Like, it's coming. I haven't reached the amount that I want in my side hustle fund yet. It's the opposite of the word try. It means that you have to keep going. It means that you know that you're going to actually achieve that. It's not happened yet. But you've got that deadline, you've got that goal, and you know it's going to happen by then. I want you to listen to the stories that you tell yourself, because we can be our own most critical. We can be our own worst critics, I guess is the best way to say that. The way that you speak to yourself. So if I were to ask you about your side hustle, the way that you speak to yourself, I want you to think about, would you say those same words to a young child? So if a young child said to you, I've got this side hustle idea and I'm going to do this, what would you say to them? Like, how encouraging would you be of them? How much would you support them? And I want you to use that same kindness to yourself. Because in terms of confidence, the absolute worst thing that we can do is tell ourselves things over and over that indicate that we're not good enough. We want to make sure that we're constantly talking to ourselves as we would a young child, because realistically, that young child is you, and that young child is inside of you. And if you take yourself right back to the time when you were 6 or 7 years old and you had an idea or there was something that you wanted to do, I want you to think about the version of yourself now giving advice to that young child. It's such a powerful exercise to do. I've got a guided meditation that can help you with this. So you can see the link here on the screen. If you type in after this masterclass to your web browser bar, hpy.tips/child, you'll find a short guided meditation that will help you to connect to your inner child. Your words are so critically important, and often it's ourselves that are telling us the words that are knocking our confidence. Get in the habit of swapping those words out. We're going to eliminate try and we're going to add in yet. The T in WTF is for take action. Confidence, side hustle success, none of this comes from sitting around and waiting. You can't sit around and wait until you're a confident side hustler. You can't sit around and wait until you're brilliant at hand stamping jewelry. You can't sit about and wait until your confidence appears. You need to start now. You need to feel the fear and do it anyway. Be motivated by your side hustle goal. Use that as the push to get yourself to do the things that you need to do to get there. The first time I delivered a training course or a masterclass like this, it was not great. It was my best attempt at the time. We're always doing the best job we know how to do in that moment. But I've been delivering these things for more than 20 years now. So with practice, this has become much more slick and much better. I couldn't have sat around for 20 years and waited for this point. It's all happened because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone in the first place. Confidence comes from taking action. If you think about when you learn to walk, so back as a toddler, assuming that you can walk, if you learn to walk, there's that persistence, there's that resilience, there's that, pulling yourself up on the sofa and taking a couple of steps and falling over. As a toddler, you had that resilience, you had that persistence, you took that action. There's very few, if any, people who, as toddlers, just go, oh, I'm not going to bother trying to walk again. I fell over the first time, so I'll just not walk for the rest of my life. If you think about all the things that you've learned in life, they're all things that you have practiced. They're all things, all the worthwhile things are things that you have pushed through and developed the resilience for. Sometimes it can be helpful to ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? So say you've got to go do a live video on your social media page for your side hustle because you want to bring in some additional publicity and marketing for your side hustle. What is the worst that can happen? You go live and you maybe cough, or you lose your voice, or you lose track of your words, or you only go live for a short time, or there's a power cut, or there's a whole load of things that can happen. Most of them have happened to me at some point. Are your ideal customers going, well, I was going to buy from her side hustle, but see, when she had that cough, I'm just so raging about that, I will never buy from her again. The more you are real, the more people connect to you. So you don't need to worry about that perfect version of yourself. You just want to go, you want to be authentic, you want to be real. What is the worst that can happen? Sharon from school, who is mean, is going to laugh at you. What does that say about Sharon, and what does that say about you? If Sharon is laughing at you, what does that say about her? Do you want to be Sharon? Is it only you she's laughing at? Or is Sharon just a bit of a mean girl? We have to not care. It takes 21 times of repetition approximately to form a new habit. So when you're taking that action, be aware time 1 is going to feel uncomfortable if you're doing something different. Time 2 still uncomfortable, time 3 less so. By the time you get to time 21, you start to feel much more comfortable. You start to do a lot of things on autopilot. The great analogy to this is learning how to drive a car. When you start, you don't know what you don't know. And as you take lessons and as you pass your driving test and then continue to drive the other side, you eventually get to the point where you drive on autopilot. It's actually quite difficult for me now. If someone said to me, which one's the brake, which one's the clutch, which one's the accelerator, I have to actually really think about that now because I just do it on autopilot. That's like everything. And those are the habits that you want to develop in your side hustle, but also in life. And the reason I want to tell you about the 21 times thing is, it is going to feel hard the first time that you do it. And I don't want you to get to time 6 or 7 and go, oh, it's too hard, I'm going to give up. Everything gets so much easier when you keep pushing through. And if you know it's only 21 times that you've got to do it, roughly, then at least you know that the comfort is coming and it's worth it. It's worth the persistence. Be the Colonel Saunders of side hustles. This is just one of my favorite stories. Colonel Saunders came up with the idea for his special recipe fried chicken, and he went to a restaurant and asked the chef if he would be interested in making it, and the chef said no. So he went to another restaurant and the chef said no. So he went to another one, went to another one, went to another one. How many times do you think Colonel Saunders got rejected before someone actually took on his special recipe, and now it's led to the kind of global chain? It was more than 1,000 times, more than 1,000 rejections. You've got to admire Colonel Saunders, because really the only way your side hustle is going to fail is if you give up. And it might not happen on the first time. It might not happen on the 5th time. But if you're going to be the Colonel Saunders of side hustles, your success is guaranteed. And see, if Colonel Saunders hadn't got a yes on, I think it was 1,007 times roughly. If he hadn't got a yes then, I think he would have just continued to go on until it was 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And eventually someone's going to say yes. So you need to have that persistence. You need to have that mindset, that resilience, to make sure that you keep going until you get the result that you want. Then you just cannot fail. So W is for watch your words. T is for take action. And F is for flip your stories. As I said earlier, we were all born the same. All babies in a hospital are not born with the confident one and the shy one and the whatever. We're all born blank sheets. The words that are in your head, the words that you tell yourself now, come from your beliefs. They weren't there when you were born, and therefore they are completely changeable. At one point in your life, you believed you were 5 years old because you were, and you strongly believed that. And then one day you turned 6, and then you believed you were 6 years old because everything around you changed, and therefore your beliefs changed. You change your beliefs all the time. If you believe at the moment that you cannot be a successful side hustler, you need to have the measurement system in place to go, well, actually, I can be a successful side hustler because when I look at what the money that I've made over the last year, for example, I've made an extra £5,000 that I didn't have before. That's a definition of success for me. So I want you to make sure that you take that piece of paper that you completed earlier in the masterclass. I want you to be aware of the words try and aware of the words yet, and make sure you're eliminating try and adding in yet to your language. And I want you to bring up those beliefs. So every time something comes up in your head that you think, okay, no, I can't do it because of this, I want you to challenge yourself, and I want you to flip those stories. So when I was young, I had no idea that I was going to be doing this, that I was going to be helping people set up a happy side hustle. When I was young, computers weren't invented. So I didn't believe that this was going to be my job. But now I believe it because I do it. So everything changes when new evidence is presented, which is why it's so useful to look for that new evidence. What if I don't sell anything, or what if I sell too much? What are we going to do with that? We're going to flip the story, and in our head, we're going to go, but what if I sell exactly the right amount? You're constantly telling yourself stories about the future. And I want you to make sure that the stories that you tell yourself are the ones that are really useful for you. If you haven't started your side hustle yet, then you've no idea if you're not going to sell enough or if you're going to sell too much. I want you to tell yourself the story. What if I sell exactly the right amount? Because that's going to put you in the right frame of mind. It's also going to give you that confidence to go forward with your side hustle. And see if you don't sell that many, or if you sell too much, see if one of those things does come true, at least in the run up to that, in the run up to the point where you start to feel that, you're going to be believing something that makes you feel comfortable. The beliefs that you've got in your head, if they're not about right now, they're just made up stories. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Choose to make up beliefs and stories that are going to help and support you to move forward with your side hustle. As I said earlier, the joy of your own side hustle is you get to decide exactly the right amount of sales. You decide. We're making up these side hustles from thin air. You don't have a boss. No one is standing over your shoulder going, you need to sell X number of these this week. You decide for what's going on in your life and what the income that you want to generate. Yeah. So Sharon from school, you must not let Sharon from school hold you back. Sharon from school, if she is being mean about you, and the odds are she probably isn't, the odds are it's in your head. But if she is, make Sharon from school irrelevant. Be aware of your stories. Be aware of what you're telling yourself. And I want you to listen to the guided meditation that I talked about earlier. And I want you to start being gentle with yourself and talking to yourself as if you were a young child. When you start to notice the stories in your head and you realize that they're not true, they're just stories that you're making up, but you realize the impact and how they're holding you back in your side hustle, then you'll be ready to move on from them. So in summary, what the fluff? Watch your words, take action, and flip your stories. I've been practicing these techniques for 20 years, and I am absolute living proof that they work, and they particularly work when you've got a happy side hustle. It's time to ditch the doubt and live the life you were born to live. If you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? When is going to be the right time? What's wrong with right now? Ditching the doubt. And if I can help you to do that, let me show you within my launch toolkit. There is a 7-day Confidence for Side Hustle Success course with 7 videos in it, video lessons that you can work through, like filling in some of the extra details of the What the Fluff method. You can buy that with everything else that comes in the Side Hustle Success Toolkit for only £27 if you buy it in the next 3 days. Also, mindset and marketing tactics are what we talk about in the Happy Hustle Hive. If you feel that you need help, not just with the tactics, but with the stories in your head, and you need that impetus and energy of a group of like-minded women and a little bit of Julie help to encourage you and to move you forward, get yourself on the waitlist for the Happy Hustle Hive. It really is an incredible community. And when you get yourself on the waitlist, you will automatically get a copy of the Skyrocket Your Side Hustle sales quiz, which is really fun to do. I want you to take action. You need to go from wanting to change your life to deciding to change your life. It's decision time. Stop letting those stories in your head hold you back. I wish you all the love and luck in the world with your side hustle. And if you want to find out more about me and about happy side hustling, visit juliebegbie.com. Bye.